side of that one. So kicking this one off, I'm actually very surprised to see Akali priority.
Yes, an intense gauntlet, to be certain. But as mentioned, Akali will band away, the Nidalee as well. Now, from what we've seen so far in the tournament, it's been difficult for Shadow to find a champion that is comfortable him, whereas on the opposite side, Kakao seems right at home playing these farming junglers, so have to keep our eye on how much priority there is on early jungle picks in this draft.
And you've heard it all week long for us from the plans. There's this holy trinity, if you will, of champions. It's the Ornn, the Orianna, and the Graves. They had close to 100% win rate. It has now teetered off a little bit, and so far, if the Ornn and the Graves aren't banned here, one of these two big priority champions will come through. Now, the cool thing is that Supermassive have been less likely to go towards the Ornn. Armut has been pulling out things like the Wukong. It is banned this time around, but has also shown a lot of diversity to kind of break what's happening for the rest of top lane in the meta, although he's going to stay true to the tank roots and he's going to pull out the Shin. It is a flex, however.
It is, of course, a flex, but also this is something that I love to see because for the last 2 games, Armut has been on Wukong, and while Wukong most certainly is a powerful champion, most of the time, it has not been a powerful early game champion. When Supermassive were winning games, Armut was dominating individually in these 1v1 matchups. And when Supermassive look across at Mad Lions, Arome is a player who has been struggling. So even if it is a blind pick, giving Armut a champion that can be strong early game, that can bully out in advantageous matchups, I think is huge. On the opposite side, however, the Senna immediately locked in. And after our series earlier today, I wonder if we'll see more of the fasting Senna.
It's also a big staple and favorite. This is kind of what I expected to actually go along with it, pulling out the Wukong. Now, if you guys haven't watched the LEC, or maybe you've heard about it through the grapevine, Wukong Senna is actually a bot lane for the Mad Lions. Kaiser pulls that one out. Some might say he is the best Wukong player on the team. Now, that said, it is still technically a flex, which I like this answer then. You see a flex Shin come in as a priority pick. You don't necessarily know where the matchup is going to go, so you yourself grab a flexible champion that can go either in the top lane or in that support position for Kaiser.
Now, personally, after we've seen the Wukong-Shen matchup go so heavily Shen favored against a player who's already struggling in Arome, I'd prefer to see a bot lane. But you're right, the flexibility can be a boon for Matt as we head further into the draft. And speaking of flexibility, Bolulu, known to play a variety of styles, but for now it looks like it will be the Galio. Of course, the Galio support has been seen, but does not seem likely, and Galio mid seeming like a solid option here as the debate on whether or not they want to lock the Mordekaiser. Locking it in, it feels all but confirmed to go topside, and it looks like we will have a Senna Wukong bottom lane. Of course, anytime Mad Lions play, you have to give a little bit of room for doubt because Humanoid himself is quite a talented Mordekaiser player, but haven't seen a Mord mid in a very long time.
And it does mean that eventually playing out in the side lanes is going to be a possible win condition, whether that is Humanoid's Mordekaiser or Arome's Mordekaiser out there. At least that's what Mad Lions fans want. On the other side, that is a FedEx delivery competition.
That's the clown car. I mean, if Twitch was unbanned, we would have the complete and total clown car package. But that Hecarim rides right into the back line. He's got a Ninja riding him in there and a Galio showing up 2 seconds later. If you are Mad Lions, you have to be nervous about being caught out. Maybe not so much Humanoid and, of course, Kaiser if he's going to be playing that Wukong. But for Carzzy, this is going to be a difficult game to sit on that back line comfortably. Now, the Leona will make it a bit easier for him to sit back there safely. But the Lucian taken away is going to limit some of the mid lane options coming out for Humanoid, as well as some of the AP jungle choices. Lilia is still up and available, and while she has not looked good in the hands of Shadow, on paper, many people still value her quite highly.
The expectation would be that they'd be looking for Graves here, because you've already shown that you're at least going to have an AP champion of the Mordekaiser in your top or your mid lane, which is why you see the response from Supermassive to ban Graves or pinch Graves in second rotation of bans. So now here you're looking for either a possible blind pick champion, or maybe you show your card and grab the jungle. You know that it's going to be a Hecarim matchup. Do you take the Fawn? Is it going to be Bambi unleashed for Shadow here?
It's Bambi versus Shadow Bambi. No, instead we get the set now locked in. And again, I hate saying this so many times, but if you're at home, really, again, the set of flex pick, we saw a lot of set mid in the LCK, not something that was popular in the LEC, but the room for Mad Lions to just flex around these essentially 3 bruiser picks, one of them AP, 2 of them mostly AD, there's a lot of it. So some creativity coming through is going to make Supermassive's last rotation a little bit difficult.
And there are a lot of melee champions. There we go. This is what I was about to set up. There are a lot of melee champions that have come out for Mad Lions composition right now. They don't have a lot of great range. Yes, they can engage or have some engage options, but it's not as reliable as you would like it to be outside of like the Senna, who's going to have, you know, the hyperscaling range. So pivoting towards an Ezreal, when you see all of these big, beefy boys in front of you and having the potential to kite, Ezreal has infinite scaling if you do not have kill pressure on him. Now, that said, we also saw Carzzy giving his best Ezreal performance that he could, and he was against a bunch of beefy boys and he just didn't do any damage. So we'll see if Zeitnot runs into the same curse here as another beefy boy.
All right, I think we're pretty much committed to this point to the Sen and Wukong. We'll have to wait to see where everything is going to go. But I think you bring up an excellent point. The other thing that we talk about when we talk about Ezreal Frostgurn is how he's one of these champions that will just sit safely alone in lane. And that will free up a player like Snowflower to roam to other lanes to make big impacts with a pick like Alistar. But now, here we are, final moments. Have to see where everything goes. It looks like set jungle to come out. And, of course, the Wukong Senna bottom lane. Now, if this is a jungle Wukong, I will very confidently come out and say that I am not prepared for that because that doesn't seem good to me. Thank God it's a set jungle. We're back into known territory.
Known territory for LEC fans, but not known territory for Mad Lions. They have never shown a set jungle competitively in the summer split. Shadow did not play it. His three best champions were the Volibear, the Trundle, as well as his Lee Sin. He then moved to the Hecarim and the Lilia as soon as Volibear and Trundle were nerfed. And while other teams like the G2s, like the Excels, thank you, Cadril, were pulling around the set jungle, Mad Lions were not. So we're going to see if Shadow has picked up another jungle, because that's been the big question on all LEC fans' lips. What can this guy play? Was he just a two-trick? Has he been figured out? Or is he able to adapt to this meta and to continue their charge forward? On the other side, the TCL, Supermassive, stopped at virtually every single hurdle. They always get to this point, and they need that final push to get over these next two best-of-5s and join on the group stage.
Huge stakes as we get ready for the first game in this best-of-5. For Mad Lions, they're the 4th seed in the LEC. A lot of fans giving up after a mediocre performance so far, but that could all change today. Whereas on the opposite side, Supermassive are the one and only hope for the TCL. And as you said, Frostgurn, they have been here before. They have been one best-of-5 away from group stage so many times. And each and every time, Supermassive have fallen flat. Now is the time to change the story. Now is the time to rewrite the narrative. We will talk so much about how the smaller regions have been rising up. Well, here is your chance to prove it. Take down a struggling Mad Lions, or get knocked out of the tournament.
And when historically we looked at the facts, everyone was like, Supermassive versus Mad Lions, this might actually be Supermassive favored. And when you go back and look at TCL's record versus EU, it's actually one of the better major regions that they do have record against. Still pretty heavily skewed towards the major region, but I believe they have 0 games picked up against LPL, 0 games or 1 game against Korea, and 5 picked up in their history at Worlds.
I believe 6 total wins from what we've seen. Of course, tracking just Worlds, they have 2 wins versus EU. Supermassive has both of them versus Mad, of course, previously, and in 2018 versus G2 in play-ins. And they've taken 3 games off the LMS, 2 of those from Fenerbahce a few years back, as well as 1 game versus G-Rex before they were eliminated.
And there's so many new elements that are coming into this World Championship, obviously with everything that happened around the global leagues with the COVID situation, but also just turning the page, involving these 4th seeds from the LPL, from the LEC, and allowing these emerging regions to have their moment to say, no, we wouldn't just come last place in your region, that we can compete and we can best these boys. And so far, Supermassive are looking to do exactly that.
And it has been a close and kind of crazy group stage, and you heard Jack kind of talk about the volatility of this format, and that's what we have seen, because as much as we've been praising the emerging regions, as much as they have been fighting tooth and nail to find these victories as we set foot onto the Rift, at the end of the day, we still are in a position where an emerging region may not make it to groups. That's wild things. Is the Cup, of course, what both teams have their eyes on, but for now, they'll settle for a best-of-5 win. We talked about the draft previously. Let's hit it once again. Player we have our eyes on, none other than Ormut in the top side. This man, when set up for success in the early game, has been unstoppable. His opponent has been struggling.
That said, a little bit of his teeth taken away for the Shin, although we have seen some Shins popping off in the play-in stage, so we'll see if Armut continues that trend here. But because it is early game, we need to focus our attention towards these junglers, Kakao versus Shadow. I think a lot of the fans right now in the community would weight this one towards Kakao as the better performing jungler for the play-in stage so far. Shadow now pulling out a brand new pick for him on the stage with that set jungle. Now, set jungle, he's going to be your ganking jungler. You can see he's got the phase rush. He wants to start burning those flashes, creating advantages for his lane. He's not necessarily about the hard or power farm, whereas on the other side, Kakao on the Hecarim is for that power farm. Very expensive build path, often will grab the first part of his jungle item and then pivot immediately into the Trinity Force, and doesn't want to be revealing himself on waves, giving away his position, wants to get very early resets on his Raptor and Krug camp, and just try to power through the jungle with priority that his lanes can set up for him.
Keep our eyes on it early game. And most importantly, as you said, Shadow, looking for early game impact. He's got a lot of options in terms of where he can go. Death's Grasp for Mordekaiser in the top lane could set up a sweet set gank. Similarly, Syndra in the mid with good setup. Bot lane, even with the Senna. So there are options. A lot is going to depend on how these lane states play out. For now, as expected, Humanoid with the push in mid lane, making use of that Dark Sphere. He's shown himself to be quite confident in these matchups previously, always pushing for a bit more damage, but Bolulu, of course, not afraid to just back off, not afraid to just give up a few CS, knows that if he loses too much life here, he won't be able to approach the wave anyway. Knockback coming through, well-timed level 2 for Humanoid, and Bolulu being bullied out, but Humanoid feeling pretty confident. He knows that Hecarim does not want to leave the jungle anytime soon, so this is free access for him to just continuously push in, especially with shadowing on the bottom side. But little does he know, Kakao waiting over the wall, and that could become a problem.
Yeah, Kakao is sitting on his Raptor camp. Humanoid also has a really nice ward that's on the entrance of the Raptor camp, so if something were to be suspicious of a Hecarim running towards his lane, he clearly get vision of that, knew that Kakao started on the top side of the jungle, so Mad Lion should expect that Kakao is now on the bottom side of the jungle, which does mean that Carzzy and Kaiser, if they want to be really respectful, should start peeking up into that tri-bush and placing wards themselves if they're not able to get this bounce off of the bot lane tower.
You see topside, Armut stacking wave to push in, no jungler there to back him up, not looking to dive the Mordekaiser early on, but happy to take the free recall at this stage as Arome. Sadly, the wave's entirely pushed into tower, so no real option for him to completely freeze out here. And, ooh, okay, does get it in the end. Looked a little bit bad there as he canceled that auto. That's
the ward that we were just talking about. Now, with the priority that Shadow has in both the mid lane and the bot lane, Humanoid, Kaiser, and Carzzy push very forward in the lanes. It does mean that he'll get crab control, and he can actually look for a double crab, although Kakao has finished his full clear of the jungle from Krugs, is now making a fast reset, and is sprinting towards a top crab. So, probably a 1-for-1 trade on the Scuttles.
And interesting, Kakao obviously just going to immediately start going for the bits and pieces of Trinity Force Phage, of course, a very nice item to have, gives you movement speed, which also turns into damage for the Hecarim, but interestingly, did opt for the Inspiration Tree and not Domination for Ravenous Hunter, so won't have quite as much sustain, but will save 300 gold down the line when he finally does get his free boots.
Now, I do want to cover some of the summoner spells while we have kind of a quiet moment here. Kakao should just continue to power farm his jungle, even though the top wave is starting to push. Shadow now has reset going for his Krug camp. Maybe he's trying to cover Orome for a wave crash. Yep, he's actually going to forego his Krug camp, walk behind the Mordekaiser with the wave pushing, and just offer a bit of a safety net here in case Kakao would try to jungle him. This does slow Shadow up a little bit, so either he needs to cover Orome or he needs to just peek into the jungle, place down some vision. Actually a win for Kakao, ultimately. Small, but marginal. But what I was going to talk about is the summoner spells of Humanoid having the cleanse and not having the TP. One of the things that Set does really well is he dives towers because of how he can survive the tower aggro with the shield off of his W. And if you ever do build up a big slow crash, you walk in behind them, you have that dive threat there. The issue is kind of what lane do you play through if you do want to set that up, especially when you're running cleanse on Humanoid and not a teleport. If Humanoid had TP, then something like a level 3, level 4 top gank with the TP might be possible, but running cleanse in this matchup, I just feel like we're going to have a really slow early game until Carzzy and Kaiser are level 6, and you try to play through that lane, or you're unlocking Humanoid and fighting in River. So this should actually be pretty good for Supermassive and their composition, as long as everything stays calm and even.
Absolutely. And when we talk about having a lot of CC setup in the respective lanes to enable Shadow, diving this team is incredibly difficult. An Alistar, an Ezreal, as well as Galio's never seen me engage on the bottom side. Kaiser potentially going to be caught out here. He's going to have to flash up to safety, but here comes Kakao, going to be more than happy to pick up that first kill. First blood for the Hecarim, and Mad Lions definitely not expecting the level of aggression coming out here. Carzzy going to be forced out of lane, and a solid start for Supermassive.
Yeah, and it's actually massive here, not accounting for the TPs. Now, Bolulu does TP on the back end of the play. He doesn't pick up 2 kills here, but he doesn't lose anything either. Humanoid actually had set up a freeze. The wave is now going to crash into the mid lane tower, so Bolulu gets that TP virtually for free here.
Now Shadow, though, ready to come over the wall. Level 4 Kaiser, but he has finished the Tiamat. Shadow coming in. Of course, Snowfall punting him, but definitely not the way that he wanted to. That's going to be a chilling smite. Zaynai now going forward. Shen TP now coming in. Perfect from Armut. Can they kill him before he gets in? No! Denied, and just like that, Mad Lions blasted in the early game. Double kill for the Alistar is the silver lining on this very gray cloud.
And this is just a huge play from Supermassive. We were just talking about how we expect it to be calm and quiet. You can allow the Hecarim to farm up, but Mad Lions, very over-aggressive, weren't able to get the crash into the bot lane, and immediately punished by Supermassive, having the TP from their Galio, as well as having the Shin ultimate. So poor cross-map communication for the Mad Lions, and Supermassive, like, cruise control now. Your composition's going to scale really well, and you have an early game lead.
And the whiff, of course, the initial face breaker looks dark. And then at this point, it's a DPS test. If they can kill Zaynai before Shen gets in, they're probably fine, but Snowflower exactly where he needs to be. The cow just laying the smack down there, but again, Armut, the guy that we talked about, we thought it was going to be about winning his lane, and he was. He's pushing in, he's got consistent push. Arome just barely even in CS. Even in TPs, neither one having an advantage in there, but already Armut has shown up on the bottom lane, helped his team secure a double kill, and that is a massive difference.
And now what do you do with that difference? Well, they can sit tight, wait for their ultimates to be back up, and just, again, continue the farm train with Hecarim. So now, emphasis is on that man on your screen, Shadow. Where is he actually going to attack? He should power farm until he gets his ultimate, and then either, I guess maybe you try to play through mid lane, but you're against a Galio, it's going to be really hard to burst that damage there. Maybe you try to play through bot lane, simultaneously also get those ultimates. We have seen Mad Lions and the LEC have kill pressure on Wukong and Senna. Surprising teams, especially if you're not used to playing against it.
Yeah, but so far, Snowflower and Zeitnot very comfortable in this lane. And again, the good news for Mad Lions at this point is that the double kill goes to Alistar. Hex Flash coming out of the bush, though. May just look for the cheeky engage here. Just stepping forward, though. Not forcing too much. And if Zeitnot had gotten that, it might have been a very different story for Kaiser and Carzzy in lane. But for now, Snowflower is harder to kill, but they're not under any more kill pressure themselves. So still sitting comfortable, keeping our eyes on Armut's ulti cooldown, though, for the next time that he can make his presence known on the bottom side of the map. The Shadow's hovering around, but ultimately, Bolulu, say what you want about the CS difference here, but this man is not giving up his life in any exchange.
He is a rock. He will not be moved. So right now what's happening on the map is actually a trade. Although Mad Lions don't have vision of it, they might suspect it. You can see a couple of pings going for the Infernal here as a nice control ward is supporting Cacao. He also has priority in his bot lane. You can see Snowflower and Zeitnot now giving this one away as they rotate over. And Shadow then kind of gets the message. He actually went back to his jungle, is now onto the Herald, but it's warded. And there is actually enough time, if Supermassive do want to contest this, to reset and dissuade Shadow from doing it. He doesn't have vision on anyone, and he needs to give it up.
Oh, Humanoid potentially going to be in trouble here if the collapse does come out, but Snowflower just hovering around on the side will not find an opportunity to go for the engage. And Frostgrim, we talked about, we were kind of looking at the trade, expecting the trade, but maybe Shadow grabs this Herald uncontested. We're going to have to see, but for now, Mad Lions are a step behind, as they have been for most of this game. And when we talk about this team, we're expecting a big turnaround in performance today. If you believed in Mad Lions winning, it would not be because of the performance they showed over the course of the group stage, but something new, more like what we saw in the LEC. And while they will grab this Herald, it has still been quite a shaky early game.
Yeah, a Mad Lions just making use of the priority that they had in their bot lane, getting them to move first. Now, also catching out the cow, Snowflower.
Important to note that is a shutdown if they can't kill Snowflower. Not something we're used to saying, but Cow's got a lot of money in the bank.
But Wave was pushing forward for Kaiser and Carzzy. It allowed them to unlock. Mad Lions very quickly assessed the situation that they had lost the Infernal that they needed. If they wanted to trade monster objective for a monster objective, had to pull the trigger on the Herald, had push priority in mid as well as top lane, and do manage to pull that one away from Supermassive. But Supermassive now should reorganize their lanes. Control over the crab. They got first tempo, first back onto the map, and have set up a really beautiful safety net on the bottom side. Look at all those control wards and Scuttle Crab.
It's fantastic. We see Zeitnot now TPing to the top side, but Frostgrim, when we look back at Supermassive domestically, they were a team that would find advantages in the early game, and then they would choke you out. They would never give you a chance to come back in. So they are 100% right now playing in their comfort zone. And that's before we take the draft into account, where you've got a Hecarim who is free farming, who is 30 CS ahead of the opposition, has a kill as well, is very quickly going to get that Trinity Force. And for Arome, while he's certainly not struggling too much in the CS department, he just has not been able to get anything done yet this game.
It just also makes it really dangerous for Mad Lions to play cross-map because Stand United is now back available. You were just talking about how powerful this Hecarim is. You can see that Supermassive are starting to prep for a play cross-map. Cacao walking to that side. Snowflower also leading him up with him, and the fact that Shen can join this party if they really want. So Shadow needs to kind of pick where he's going to attack. I expect it to be the mid lane. That's kind of where most of his damage is. So he's running towards mid, so maybe you get a kill on Galio and then immediately transfer into Herald.
And interesting as well, because a lot of times when we've seen this composition run previously, you would end up with Kaiser on a side lane. Of course, still very early to put that Wukong out, but as a carry Wukong, he does need that fair share of the farm. And you can see top lane tower looks to be just about completely conceded here. Big waves crashing as the wave assignments, there's some hesitation. You know, both members there, both the Wukong and the Mordekaiser moving to the top side, but then having to kind of abandon it at the last minute. And little mistakes like that will start to add up. We'll put Mad Lions even further into the hole. Currently at a 2K deficit, only 11 minutes into the game. Game absolutely not over, but the ball very much in Supermassive's court.
Do you like musical chairs? Because that's what we're playing right now. Everyone's just swapping around the lanes, picking up the farm, and it is favoring Supermassive. It does feel like Again, Mad Lions are just trying to find something to play through, somewhere to break on the map. You keep seeing the pings towards the mid lane, but Bolulu playing this one really well on the Galio. It's going to be hard to kill him, but also he just kind of pushes the wave and then he hides. There's like no option or opportunity, and so Shadow just has to walk into this lane and just drop it for plates. There's nothing else here. Now maybe they pulled a Rome down, the Cloud Dragon spawning in 125. They get the plate gold here for Humanoid, and then they start picking up and moving this Syndra around.
Bolulu running forward now. Pulls out the Ghost as well with Summoner Spellbook, but Humanoid now flashing back with Cal on the way in as well. Shadow going to suplex back into the tower, does not have time to use the Face Breaker and goes down. Humanoid throws out the ultimate, but not quite the effect he needed. 4-0 up for Supermassive.
And it's special delivery from Supermassive. Mad Lions, they were trying to solve the problem. Okay, we'll just go mid, we'll set the Herald, and Supermassive just fight that, meet the punch, smack them in the face with a horse, and throw a ninja on top.
That's a messy exchange.
Visually accurate, though.
Yeah, this is like just an imaginary child's picture book. Like that's how wide out we are.
That's been some of Mad Lions' games so far.
Yes, true.
That was my last one. I'll be nice style.
Here's the thing about Cacao, right? Is that's a very scary pony. A very scary pony with Merc Treads as well. And now normally we've seen a lot of Hecarims so far in this stage just run in and get one tap. The thing is, with a Shen on your team, with a Galio on your team, that's not really going to happen. And as we get later into the game, you've got two relatively low econ champions, Galio and Shen, and one champion who can take all of the CS in the world once we hit 2 items to just further snowball himself ahead. So Cacao is going to be an absolute nightmare for Mad to deal with. And for Shadow, who is 2 levels down, he is just utility bot at this point. And I wonder when Mad, you're just going, hey, no more jungle camps for you. You've done what you're going to do. Now we got to funnel onto the carries.
It's about trying to find the fight that they want, and unfortunately, Mad Lions have been behind the play, but also in due part to their composition, because there's just not a lot of options for them, especially as soon as everything went sideways in the bot lane. That was kind of the one avenue outside of Syndra that, you know, maybe you unlock the Syndra, you move her down into the bot lane, maybe you look for a dive and try to brute force that, but Karzi and Kaiser falling down to that initial gank has really put a wrench in all of Mad Lions' plans. As Rome testing his luck.
Death Realm?
He's not winning that.
Yeah, well, Shadow's coming in, but definitely not the angle that he wanted to. The taunt flash coming out, though. Now going to be interrupted. Senna throwing something across the backside, but now the TP coming in as well from Kaiser. Kaiser can go for the knockup. Only a level 8 on the Wukong, but trying to throw down a bit more damage, trying to trade it back. There's going to be at least 1 kill. Bolulu, surely no way to escape this one. Big punch. Humanoid finally going to get to strike back.
So it was Supermassive that picked the fight and Mad Lions that ended it. Finally, they get something for their worth. They managed to pick up some plate gold from the Herald. You can now see that they've got some kills. Humanoid also crashing that wave in. Meanwhile, though, Ezreal just chilling in the bot lane, picking up experience lead as well as lots of gold. Counterplay.
Sadly, Humanoid has definitely overstayed his welcome, and as much as he wants to interrupt that Hecarim ulti, being unstoppable will certainly make Cacao look just as such. And now the 3-0 Hecarim, a 400 gold bounty on his head, but I have a suspicion that no one is going to be killing him anytime soon.
I mean, he's unkillable. At this point, you really need a Rome to start popping off, because maybe you're like, okay, I see this pony is worth 20 million gold. I'll take one for the team, guys. He's coming down with me. Do what you can while I hold him still, and then hopefully by the time that he pops back out, the rest of the fight's gone well for Mad Lions. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, right now the Death Realm is looking a little bit too cozy for everyone Rome has invited so far. Has almost have the flawless CC laying there, but of course Karzi saving the day. And Kaiser, they're burning everything just to get this single kill, and of course they're going to be happy to have it, but Supermassive just overstaying a little bit here.
Did manage to go on exactly who they needed, though, so at least on the single kill that Mad Lions had, good allocation of gold, but as you can see on the left side of your screen, other than Humanoid, it is really good for Supermassive fans. The 2 champions, Low Econ, Bolulu, and Snowflower sitting on the very bottom there, but they're tanks. They get buffed up a lot from their natural stats, so
yeah,
good state for Supermassive.
The problem is like, if anyone else was ahead, Humanoid could one-shot the Hecarim, you know? But now that the Hecarim is very much on the way to Death's Dance, and it's 16 minutes.
He's got 0 kill pressure.
Because he also went cooldown boots, right? And I get it. You want that cleanse up more often. You want even less kill pressure coming in from the enemy team. But the pony's just not going to die anytime soon. It's really going to take a concentrated effort from Cacao to run it before he will go down. That said, Zeit not a viable target. The ulti now coming out. Humanoid, though, instantly going to be locked up in a fast turn. Supermassive just too clean.
Yeah, and this is the fact that making cross-map plays when you don't make them on the Shin anytime Stand United is going to be punished. And you just talked about how Zeitnot might be a viable target. No, not if Shin is alive. So that's the issue that Mad Lions are falling into right now. They have fallen behind a composition that will continue to sprint ahead of them. Yes, they do have some of their scaling, but they don't have any kill pressure. Humanoid has virtually zero target that he can find and just blow up.
It's going to be very difficult. We'll have to see what this item is going to be if he goes early Void Sap or if he just rushes straight for Leandri. He's aware that Burst is no longer his option, instead going for some sustained damage. But now Zeitnot pushing in with Supermassive, and they're just going to grab 2 quick towers in the mid lane, breaking the map wide open. And as that tower falls, Kakao can just walk Kaiser down. He's got a second knockup, but it's not even going to matter. Kakao on a rampage now, and
Hail Mary, TP, here it comes.
Romeo on the backside, pulling Bolulu into the death realm, but definitely not a big priority target. Carzzy stepping forward to try to fight Zeitnot, but Zeitnot is just not concerned. The damage is not there. Shadow going with a big haymaker, but here comes Ramon, and oh no, they've locked themselves up. Snowflower coming to the backside. That's the follow-up CC. Mad still trying to hold on. They've got 3 members. They're regrouping. Arma waiting on that taunt cooldown. The ulti now coming out, though. Kakao just does so much. The lockdown coming through. The shutdown under the Hecarim. That is everything that they can need to hope to turn this one back. Mad Lions, can they do it? Snowflower coming over the wall. Arma not going to connect on the taunt. That's huge. The clean footwork from Mad Lions. The early game might have been sloppy, but the skirmishing is just too clean.
And that is exactly who the Lions need their gold funneled onto. Syndra wasn't finding any kill pressure anywhere. You wanted to be able to play a side lane. Arome's ultimate can be so important here if you can deny and just take Hecarim or someone out of the fight, and he ends up with a triple kill as well as a massive shutdown from killing Kakao.
And here's the thing, Frostgreen, is that Arma was definitely the bold, but now that Mordekaiser has Leandri's Rylai's, the nature of that matchup is going to change because Mordekaiser's kit is just so absurd. You give him 2 more passives in the slow and the burn over time, it's just unstoppable.
Now, while there is a glimmer of hope here from the Mad Lions, we'll take a look at the replay. It was the Hail Mary. It was the desperation. You could start to smell it. Mad Lions saw their opportunity where they would have a numbers advantage, so they pull the trigger and they throw everything at the kitchen sink at this. And if this doesn't go well, this is kind of like the last stand here, because as soon as Hecarim's back into a fight, he's a big boy. He's got 4 kills right now. He was going to be a disaster, but Mad Lions managed to make the skirmish work. They have the numbers advantage. They play it really slow here. Shout out to Carzzy, constantly hitting these heals, and then Rome finding all of the kills.
And that last taunt from Arma just a little bit off there, trying to catch, trying to predict on some movement. Does cost him heavily. Ocean Soul is on the cards.
Here comes FedEx.
If they can get this one. Can they get the soul point? But Kakao now leaping into the back line of the team fight. Ezreal too far away. Kakao very tanky, but is he tanky enough? 2,700 health left. Kaiser moving to the backside. Arma going to be first on the menu. Ian is going to get taken down. Arome still standing strong. Getting lower and lower, but no, Mad Lions take it away. They deny soul point. Super massive, and that's it. Mad Lions right like that, just back into the game, and suddenly they have a gold lead.
And that's a massive turn, and also a really big mistake from Supermassive. They were very split on what they were doing with the fight. Kakao was on the dragon. His tanks were having their health bar shredded by the Mad Lions, and Mad also, I believe, managed to pick up the Drake, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did. They denied soul point. I mean, that's massive, because we've seen how many teams have choked around that major objective anytime soul point has been on the line. And for Ocean Soul on a team full of tanks, it really would have been impossible for them to finish the kills. But now, Cal overplays his hand twice in a row. And Rome is incredibly strong. And now it's important to note, his lane phase was still rough. He still struggled early on, but coming into this mid-game, 4-0-4, he is dominating.
This game literally flipped on a mid-lane TP play and now has really paid off in this dragon fight. So let's take another look at it. Kakao goes in, and then immediately just turns on the ocean and just starts chilling there while Arma and Bolulu are just trying to run. Like, it's every man for themselves. Zeitnot's completely zoned out of the fight from Humanoid. The dragon is then taken away by Shadow, and then it's table scraps for Mad Lions.
But the thing is that Kakao does a lot of damage if he's given time to do it, but Bolulu doesn't. Bolulu's been chilling. He's the
Look at that gold grab.
That's a cliff.
That's a TP.
Can we flip it upside down so we can show EU's hopes in Mad Lions? Can we get the inverse diagram? Because that is a massive turn, and I really feel like you watched that last fight. Shout out to Humanoid for zoning Zeitnot completely out of the fight, because the 2 damage sources on this team right now are Zeitnot and Kakao. Bolulu on this Galio has base damages, but not much past that, and it's not nearly enough to kill tanky members like Set, Mordekaiser, and Wukong.
And the fact that the Shin ultimate was used proactively with Kakao initially diving in meant that as soon as Zeit Knight was zoned away by Humanoid, he couldn't do anything. He's like, I don't have the Shin to protect me this time around. I guess I just have to chill on the sidelines.
And now Landry's coming out as well for Humanoid, means that these fights will get easier. Still not going to get to live, for the most part, the Cinder dream of just one-tapping people with the ult, but will do a lot more sustained damage.
He's still very threatening. He's still very much like, get off my lawn.
Absolutely. Well, for Zeit Knight, yes, most certainly. Iceborne Gauntlet comes out. If Supermassive start to win a fight, that does mean that they should just be able to keep winning it. But right now, Mad Lions regaining their confidence clearly.
So what's happening is Balulu is resetting his position. He does have TP, and you have to watch out for the flank. So the vision that Mad Lions have actually set up on their top side in this bottom quadrant of the jungle is actually really important, and they're being very respectful of when they have vision of Galio on waves and when they didn't have vision and not overextending their hand. Because that was ultimately what flipped this game for Supermassive. Super far, overextended, didn't have the support in the mid lane, and got flipped on a TP, and Mad Lions are being much more respectful. And in their games across plans, you've actually seen massive comebacks from the Mad Lions. The gameplay has not been neat, but when they do have tempo, and they're able to flip it with either using a summoner spell or having more ultimates available, they have been very consistent on doing that, even if their individual performers are failing. And that's why the Mad Lions are still alive in play-ins.
Is definitely the case. On the opposite side for Supermassive, we've seen them dominate 2 games, and we've seen them kind of fall apart in 2 games. And while they've started dominant here, certainly looking a little bit shakier as we move further in. Kakao on his own, not super tanky anymore. He was when he was very far ahead of the clock, and the Death Stance finishing will certainly help him out greatly, but still very hard to get into that backline when there is a Set, a Mordekaiser, and a Wukong ready to interrupt you. Can't stop the initial ult, but can stop all of the follow-up. For Armut, he has to make some hard choices in these team fights. When and where does he ult? Will it just be pairing up with the pony? But does that leave Zeit not exposed? That's always going to be the question.
Now we do have a moment, maybe a split second before some of the action will break. Nope, we're going to be contesting mid-wave. So we're playing over the dragon that's going to be spawning.
Shadow looking for the flank. Beautiful start from Snowflower. Instant wombo combo. Maybe all that they need, but Arome pulls Zeit Knight immediately into the Death Realm, trying to deny any potential follow-up. Shadow's still alive for now, and Kaiser spinning his way through, but Supermassive kick off the fight, and that might just be more than enough. Humanoid tries to buy a bit of space, but it's not going to work. No, what? Oh, no, they fed it to Kaiser, the alley. Oops. Snowflower's not going to feel happy about that one, but if he can get a Baron, that's going to wash away all the pain from the side of Zeit Knight.
And Supermassive red Mad Lions like a book there. The dragon was spawning in a minute. They stand just in Fog of War. Beautiful pocket created there with the vision, and then just wait for Mad Lions to contest the mid-wave push. They come up mid, and they get rocked with a massive wombo combo, now turning off Baron.
Shadow has to be careful. He's buying time, he's buying space. Karzi's up and available, he has the ultimate. Now, no flash for Shadow is a big deal, but the Baron has been stopped. Kakao low on mana as well. Means this one is not going to come through as an option. Mad lucky to get out with as little damage as they did.
Yeah, it's the only silver lining, the fact that they were able to not lose all of their members and dissuade the Baron. Now, Dragon will be coming up. Let's take another look at this one. This feels good. When that happens in solo queue, that's like the hell yeah.
And Rome literally saved by the fact that he could pull Zeit Knight into the Death Realm.
Get me out of here.
Not saved by the fact that Zeit Knight does some damage, and this last play, well, it was a little bit tragic as the headbutt comes out, and Zeit Knight does in the end go down. Snowflower, the third imposter in that one, started the game off strong, really had us all going, but turning on his teammate in the end.
I don't know, I think that was like a true vent from Arome. He pulls Ezreal down. He's like, oh no, I've been found.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Now, so Senna was also just not in that fight at all. You saw 0 damage coming in from Karzi.
What we just saw, or what we missed during the replay, is that Mad Lions, obviously with the tempo, because they got back onto the map first, dissuaded the Baron. Supermassive were forced to take a reset. Means that they did move over to the Ocean. They now have 2 Oceans sitting in their pocket. At this point in the game, with nothing to play over on the bot side of the map, both teams will be playing over the top side of the map. We're contesting for mid lane priority, as well as setting up deep vision around the Baron, trying to set up picks. Now, in contesting for mid lane priority, we need to check on the summoner spells. Zeit Knight doesn't have his flash, and the wave clear actually isn't that strong for Supermassive. You know, they don't have necessarily a traditional AD carry or mid laner like an Orianna that can just free push waves, so it's going to require a lot of Supermassive members to constantly be covering while they fight for priority, where it's actually much easier for Mad Lions to hard push waves.
Absolutely. And as well, Karzi can just be here to pick up souls, back up, offer some disengage potential. Shadow potentially going to get caught out here, but for now, just clearing a lot of vision inside of Supermassive, and it looks like we're just going to have the push back and forth. If Mad Lions can get some mid-priority of their own, they can also move up into the Baron Pit area and lay down some vision. As Arome, with the TP up and available, feels pretty comfortable to push in on the bottom side.
And I think that in this map state, like, Mad Lions are fine to continue funneling a lot of gold onto the carries, especially Arome into a side lane. What's been happening for kind of the past 15 minutes under the radar is actually Kaiser constantly being out in side lanes. Now, you see a scoreline 1-4-4, but look at his CS numbers. He's constantly been left alone. He's level 13, just a single level. He was even with Armot for a very long time before Shin started cashing in all of these assists and the experience from participating in the fights. But Kaiser has been slowly building himself up into a true top laner as you look at his itemization. So he will pack a punch now.
Absolutely will. Will make it that much harder to peel off Zeitnot as well, and potentially offer some good counter-engage options into, well, what appears to be the full strength of Supermassive. We saw it in the previous fight when the Alistar, the Hecarim, the Shen, the Galio, and everyone gets to team up. The fights just feel like they are instantly over, but maybe with Kaiser's ultimate, they can disrupt some of the engage that Supermassive are bringing into the table. In the meantime, baiting, waiting in the darkness. Kakao knows that he's strong. He wants to use that strength to pick off a straggler from the side of Mad Lions so that his team can secure this Baron.
Oscar moment. They're faking it.
It's high-stakes gameplay. They have to be careful. Karzi's all on his lonesome.
Scouting with vision.
Shen now on the way in. They need to find a way to disengage. Karzi flashing over the wall. That's going to be okay for now, but still Kakao pushes forward. But remember, Karzi's just the support, so if they burn everything on him, the fight can still turn against them. Humanoid moving in, but he doesn't have that much mana. This is an excellent fight for Supermassive. Zeitnot's going to grab another one. Mad pushed back. They lose to Baron. Go for Supermassive.
And the Academy Award goes to... I mean, the thing is that while the jungler is dead, we'll see how bold Supermassive are. Yep, they're immediately going to pull the trigger, knowing that they have the smite. Do need to still be respectful because Kaiser, Humanoid, and Arome are alive. So Mad Lions know that they don't have to immediately turn on this. They can take their time, let this whittle out, and really look for the best case scenario. But look at Balulu off to the side, looking for a multi-man taunt.
Pulling Snowflower into the Death Realm, though, denying that, but potentially isolating the rest of his team. Arome's the front line that they needed. He's going to snipe Snowflower. Now he's in the midst of everyone as he comes out. It's a lot of damage, but Arome not going to be able to fire back too much. Armoko getting lower and lower. Big ulti coming across, but only going to connect there. Burning, ticking, not nearly enough. But again, Mad Lions coming up just in time to stop this Baron from going down.
Hold the line right at the Baron, and now again we're looking at the Ocean Soul that's going to be coming up in 1 minute. Now taking a look at this play, it was the fake. The True Shot Barrage comes out to scout vision to see who's there, and then Kakao sees that Karzi is all on his own and he immediately pulls the trigger. Karzi flashing over the wall is able to, I mean, expend so much here. He does eventually go down, but now Armot and Kakao are so deep and the rest of the Mad Lions have kind of collapsed in, and it becomes a really scattered fight.
No, Kakao barely making it out there, but at the end of the day, still a solid fight for Supermassive, even if Mad Lions were able to contest. The gold, dead even. The towers, dead even. And yeah, this roller coaster, folks, it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. The good news is Mad Lions have got improved, but the bad news is Supermassive still hitting hard in these fights.
Nice thing for Supermassive this time around, though, is they do have Flash back onto their AD carry, so it is safer to contest the mid lane push. But we talked about it. Mad Lions just kind of 5-man in here. The big wombo combo is scattered out by Shadow. It looks like Mad Lions learned their lesson. This time around, Shadow's like already off to the side, like, Alistar and Hecarim are not going to catch us off guard again.
It's like, please, Shadow, could you go this time?
Oh no, it's Shadow versus Shadow. Oh no, it's not.
No, it's not. What? That was
sorry.
2 Shadows 1 day. That's all. That's all.
I told you it's 3 cups of coffee. I need to lay off the caffeine.
All right. Well, Shadow needs to lay off the Mystic shots here because he is getting chunked. Dragon 2k health. They can just secure this one, and they will. That's going to be... Oh, my God. The quad Ocean Soul Ocean. That's a lot of healing. That's certainly going to make Kakao and Zeitnot's lives difficult, but we're going to have to see. Soul Point now for Mad will make things that much harder for Supermassive.
I actually think it might break the game for Mad Lions, because the thing is you no longer have the burst damage. Like, Kakao's power doesn't mean anything anymore. And, like, yeah, it's still hard to kill Supermassive. Like, both of these compositions will take forever to kill. But now, with a potential Ocean Soul and a Senna at this point in the game, Kakao will run in. Maybe he kills one person, maybe he takes them to, like, 10% HP.
Yeah.
But then the longer the fight goes, Mad Lions just come back.
And here's the thing is that, look, normally I wouldn't agree with you because normally we would see the Senna be the carry in this case, but the Wukong's the carry. He can't one-shot the Wukong. He can't one-shot the Mordekaiser, and Humanoid's got his Zanyas, so great. You can one-shot the support. You, the Giga-fed Hecarim, can 1-for-1 with the enemy support. That is not a winning proposition. Here we are. Shadow, though, continuing to step forward. Dead Man's Plate making him always threatening. Have to be careful about the positioning here. A lot of beefy boys that Set would love to dunk down on the opposite side. Mad Lions getting mid-prio means they can lay down some vision control of their own. Now, they've fallen for a trap from the side of Supermassive multiple times now, once in the mid lane, once around their own red buff. Can Supermassive find another flank in a similar vein?
Now, naturally, this push here down mid lane isn't for the mid lane inhib, although they do manage to pick up the tower because we talked about Supermassive struggling to contest the mid wave. They sacked that wave originally, which is where all the damage came from when they were trying to set up for the Baron. But it's to, again, clear Supermassive off of the Baron, get some nice resets for items, and again, start contesting the vision. But for the next 3 minutes and 20 seconds, we're all about the Baron, but I feel like Mad Lions, they don't necessarily really want the Baron. They just want to stop it. They're all about this Ocean Soul. So there's a lot of pressure for Supermassive to either figure out how to find the Wombo combo engage where they can immediately turn it on to a Baron, or they need to decide that they want to immediately start blitzing into the bottom side river, setting up vision around the Ocean Drake, and trying to find a side.
Oh, there's zombie wards.
Yeah,
I was like,
there's like 20 wards.
Do they just all just one after another blue trinket to zombie ward? Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Listen, Mad Lions knew exactly where the last hurdle was for the TCL of this game. It was the purple monster, and they're like,
highlighted it.
Just block it out.
Team communication is poor. Wherever we put 3 wards next to each other is where we go next to fight.
So Supermassive have decided to forego the Baron. They are finding the flank. We talked about it. The control ward that Kakao is sitting on, super important, because you just want to make sure you get a good flank, but Supermassive are only thinking about the team fight, and Mad Lions are like, this is all about the wave priority. This is about wave state. We'll just run it down mid lane. There's going to be something wonky.
This is going to be big. There almost has to be a fight here because Mad Lions don't really have a clean way out. They're going to pull Snowflower back to try to get things kicked off. Galio now coming in, but it's only going to connect on Carzzy. Rome's going to step forward. They're slowly but surely peeling back. That set now dunking down. Wukong on the backside. He's been exhausted. Carzzy throwing the ult across the entire team. Death Realm has now come out. Kakao trying to get something done, but look at the taunt on the backside. Bolulu is massive. Carzzy's now in trouble. 1, potentially 2. Shadow still alive. Kaiser, Humanoid, Orome now untouched and unstoppable on the backside. But Kakao not giving up so easily. The Hecarim healing coming in clutch as Orome holding on, trying to turn the tides. Humanoid still alive. Humanoid now on a killing spree as Orome throws down the Obliterate, but it's not enough. Kakao and Zeitnot, the 2 left standing, perfect for Supermassive.
A 3-for-3 trade, but it's just the kills that go back and forth, Dracos. The Dragon still has 1 minute 30. Everyone will be back up and alive. It felt like Mad Lions were like, this is a low risk, maybe high reward play for us if we just push down mid lane, because if we get a bad fight, like if Bolulu doesn't get that massive flash taunt into the back line, that kind of sets up a really slow fight. You ace them there, you take an in hit, maybe you turn to the Baron. Whereas if you die here, yeah, there's a potential that you lose Baron, but Mad Lions obviously feel very confident that they can start to win these 5v5s. Taking another look at this one, you already called it out. Galio gets into the back line. Kakao basically just wastes a lot of Orome's time, and Orome also wastes a lot of Kakao's time. But Zeitnot goes really untouched here. It's just an issue that he's competing with the minion wave that's standing in front of him, as well as all of the tanks that he has to deal with.
Yeah, and Zeitnot, overall, feeling pretty comfortable in this game because while he certainly can get Death Realmed, while Shadow can run at him, while the Wukong can sneak up in on top of him, now that he has QSS, a Blade of the Rune King, and an Iceborne Gauntlet, Wukong is not nearly as much of a threat. And yeah, Zeitnot, masterclass performance in Ezreal, staying alive in these fights. Essentially a ranged bruiser right now, going toe-to-toe with a lot of these teams. And it looks like he has a red pot purchase as well, so he clearly knows what he needs to do.
This will be the fight that can break the game. I really do think that if Mad Lions get this Ocean Soul, if it's not already too late for Supermassive, that this breaks the game open for them. It'll be so hard to deal with their composition.
Kakao definitely looking comfortable. 3.5 items. GA to come. Hex Flash over the wall. Snowflower trying to find the flank, but he will be spotted out. They're being pushed in. Could all come down to the 50-50. Kaiser trying to zone, but has to be careful. They need his damage. He's trying to chip away at Snowflower before things get kicked off. Orome can ult the jungler. This should not be a 50-50. Orome has all the tools to deny this. Pull him right into the Death Realm and deny it, but he can't do it! It's too little too late. That means Kakao gets it. Kaiser on the backside, meanwhile getting chipped away. Zeitnot is absolutely fearless. He's just going to snipe him right as he comes out, but no. Zeitnot unstoppable now. Orome trying to fire back onto Arma, but it still takes too long to kill the Shen. Now Zeitnot is going to start to lay down the damage across the wall. He is all but untouchable. Zeitnot, again, smurfing in these team fights, knocking people down left and right. Orome, the last man left standing, hiding in the brush, but there is no reprieve, there is no respite, and there is no hope left for Mad Lions. Taken away, and now the Baron to fall. No, Don't even give him a chance. TP on mid lane. Bring it home. Take down Shadow. And that's some bloodthirsty gameplay I can get behind.
And Supermassive knew that they had one last opportunity. One more Mom Spaghetti in this fight. They went for the fight at the Ocean Soul, and like you said, Zeitnot just smurfing on the edge of the fight. Ezreal has infinite scaling if you have no kill pressure on him. It was Humanoid's responsibility in the previous fights to zone him away, but Zeitnot ducks, dodge, dives, weaves, and gets it done for Supermassive.
Kaiser going to be denied, punted back into his own Nexus, says, better luck next time, buddy. Let's try it in game 2. Supermassive taking the win in game 1. Dominance in the early game. Mad Lions struck back into the mid game, but when push came to shove, Supermassive pulling it out in that final clutch fight.
And huge smiles on their face for game 1. It got a little bit touch and go there, like you said in the mid game. The Hail Mary TPs coming out from Mad Lions. Very scrappy, very skirmish heavy, but Supermassive. I want to call out the reading on Mad Lions when they got the initial gauge on mid lane, knowing that Mad Lions